You know, it's interesting to me, you've got all of these Congress people that have been in office for years and years and years. They keep getting reelected, yet the mess seems to keep getting bigger and bigger. And a group of us are sitting around the other night having a few drinks, and we're talking about one in particular, Maxine Waters, who, you know, you see her on television, and she's always got on fancy outfits, driving fancy cars, dining in the greatest restaurants with a lot of really, really rich people. And I got to thinking, you know, her district is South Central Los Angeles. It's a district filled with really good people, but unbelievable poverty, unbelievable homelessness, no jobs, and it's a war zone. How does she keep getting elected down there? Blows me absolutely away. So I found out she doesn't live in her district. She lives about 8 miles north of her district in a huge mansion. So I tracked down the guy who is going to run against her right now. He is running against her right now. Seems like a nice enough guy. His name is Joe Collins, former military guy, retired military guy. And so I asked him, I said, you know what, why don't we go down and actually do an interview in front of her $5 million mansion that's not even in her district, just so people know. People have no idea she doesn't live in her district. We're gonna call the piece live from the MaxiPad, since it's Maxine Waters' house. One of our producers, Alma, even wrote a little rap song about it, and she's gonna get that produced. So anyway, I'm gonna go change into a suit and drive into the city, meet the production crew, and obviously she's got kind of a gangster reputation. I don't know if we're taking our lives in our own hands. You know, by doing this, we're not gonna pull a permit. We're just gonna go down, take our old redneck lawn chairs, and do an interview. Anyway, we'll catch you in the city.
Maxine Waters ignores our district, and as a result, our community is a disaster. Crime, no hope for jobs, and one of the biggest homeless populations in America. Maxine Waters has never had anyone credible willing to take her on. Until now. I'm Navy veteran and small businessman Joe Collins, and I actually live in our district.
This is a story about a woman who has been in Congress for 30 years and has used her connections there to get very, very rich. And she doesn't even live in her district. Her name is Maxine Waters. This is her district, and this is the $5 million mansion she lives in. It's Maxine's super luxury pad in fabulous Hancock Park, California.
She robbed from the poor just to pay her rent. It's a mystery where the money went. Live from the MaxiPad, live from the MaxiPad, live from the MaxiPad, live from the MaxiPad, live from the MaxiPad.
Hey, it's great to have you join us. We are live from the MaxiPad. This is Maxine Waters' $5 million home, her mansion that is not even in her district. But somehow, after 15 terms in Congress, she has managed to get a $5 million home, not even in her district. There's a candidate running against Maxine Waters, Joe Collins. Joe, great to have you with us, man.
Hey, you as well. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So, get a little bit of backstory about you. I mean, you're a military guy.
Yeah.
You were raised in the district. Well, tell me about being born and raised, your folks.
You know what? It's a bit challenging, especially for a black man in the district. I grew up on 104th and Normandy in the era of, Auntie Maxine, and I wouldn't call her auntie of mine the way she's left the district hanging. But growing up in South Central Los Angeles is very tough. We have a lot of gangs, gang violence, gun violence, domestic violence, poor jobs, no real opportunities unless you play sports or entertainer to make it out of South LA. And so it was a bit difficult. Our house was actually shot up in a drive-by whenever I got into high school. And so my mother moved us out of South LA to Dallas, and I finished high school in Dallas.
But being raised down there and growing up down there, I mean, that had to be just a real struggle, right?
Kind of, yeah. It just depends, now that I look back on it, it is a struggle, but when you're in it at that time, it's normal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Until you actually get out of it and you see that, poverty isn't normal, not having quality jobs, that's not normal. Gang violence is not even normal. It's not even really heavily prevalent across the entire United States. And so these are things that, piss poor leaders like Maxine Waters and other leaders brainwash people into thinking this is your norm, this is your life, this is your future.
you came out of the military, and I understand that was kind of your first interaction with Maxine Waters as far as her effectiveness as a congressman. What happened?
Yeah. Well, so yeah, I did. I served 13 and a half years in the military, and Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2008. I recruited, put thousands of young people in the military, and served my country proudly. I am decorated, in the military. But getting out the military, what people don't understand is they think that, okay, so you got the education, you got the training, it's easy for you to get a job, but two things happen. One, you're overqualified for mostly every position. Nobody wants to hire anybody in the military because you outwork and outperform even the person who hired you. The second thing that's wrong is our VA system is so bad. When you get out of the military, it takes a very long time for you to get your benefits. And also getting into the military, you have anywhere between 2 months to 6 months of training to be, the soldier or sailor or airman that you are. Getting out, you have a week. Nobody who spent their entire adult life in the military can be acclimated to society in 1 week. It's impossible. But the VA process was taking a very long time. And I was actually going to her office.
One of the biggest priorities, or the biggest priority for elected members of Congress, is to take care of the veterans in their district.
You would think that's what it's supposed to be.
That really is. That is the biggest priority. So you get out and you approach her office because you needed help.
Yeah, I was kind of homeless. I was sleeping at the pier, Ranchos Palos Verdes, and I was going to her office almost every other day. I brought her flowers. I filled out internships. I did everything to try to get her attention, to let her know that I need help. I need help getting this VA process sped up. I need somewhere to live. I need a job. I need something.
What kind of response did you get?
I didn't get one.
So you're an elected member of Congress. You couldn't even get a response from her, and you're a veteran just out of the military.
Mm-hmm. Served in Iraq and everything, and absolutely nothing.
That's absolutely insane. So I've got to ask you then, I'm assuming that's got to be part of your calling for wanting to serve in Congress. What was your calling?
Well, I wanted to get involved in politics so I can be able to make a difference. I felt like I peaked in the military, and so it was time to make that transition. And so for me, with my whole life being dedicated to service, I have to think, okay, what is the next way or the next move to be able to serve the community and serve the country? And it's through Congress. And what better way to start that fight than in the same community that I grew up in? And I'm gonna tell you, it looks exactly the same. Except we have more homeless people now.
Yeah, you take a look at that district, Maxine Waters supposedly served that district, been elected to that district for 30 years. That's 15 terms in Congress.
Yep.
It's the worst neighborhood in all of California, in all of Los Angeles, and it's gotten worse over 30 years. How do you take the worst neighborhood in LA and make it even worse, especially when you have that kind of influence?
Well, she's the expert on that, so we had to go knock on the door and ask her how she did it, but I have some type of idea. When you preach hatred, when you preach the rhetoric and you continuously brainwash people over 30 years and make them feel like they're poor, nobody cares about them, that's the type of thing that you have. You have a bunch of people who are just filled with envy, who are filled with hate, who thinks that they don't have an opportunity, and that's because of the influence that she had over the district.
So, the segment here is called the MaxiPad, and because it is Maxine Waters, we're live in front of Maxine Waters' house, Maxine's MaxiPad, in a $5 million house.
Yeah.
Why doesn't she live in her district? Is she too good for these people? Really?
She is absolutely too good for the people she's supposed to represent. But when you look at the condition of South Los Angeles, gangs and violence, if you're a representative and you're supposed to be representing these people and you left them in this condition, you wouldn't live there either. It's not a lot of people who want to live there. I hardly want to live there. I have children. I don't want my children to grow up the same way that I did and start to become products of their environment.
It's interesting. Does she have anything in common with the people that live in her district? She lives in a $5 million mansion outside of her, not even close to her district.
Yeah.
In addition to that, she wears these outfits that are big brand names, a couple of $1,000 outfits. She dines in the finest restaurants. She doesn't associate with people of her district. She seldom even goes down to her district. What's up with that? Why do you think that is? And how can they keep electing her?
She has too much money, you know what I'm saying? Like the people in the district, you're poor, median income $46,000, and she's in Congress. She makes, $174,000 plus. She shovels money to everybody in her family to make them rich. So she does very well for herself. She has a great business with her husband. They funneled that money from the campaign to her daughter. They got this whole slate mailer thing going on. I think the biggest travesty is how she sold government contracts directly to her husband's company, and then turned around and got the Treasury to, give that bank, that One United Bank, that $13 million to bail them out, which is utterly ridiculous as well.
So her husband, they used her influence to get involved in a bank, and then they used her influence to get $13 million to bail out that bank.
Yeah, exactly. And then
she's on the on the finance committee, right?
Not only is she on the finance committee, but they also put her in charge of the coronavirus budget. And this is like, seriously, like how much more, rich can you make a corrupt person? Just put them over $3 trillion worth of government funds.
Absolutely insane to me. So what does she have in common, her lifestyle, with the people from the district?
Well,
anything?
She's black.
Yeah, but only 23% of the district's black.
Exactly. That's about it. I can't think of nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, she lives like a literally like a Hollywood movie star.
Pretty much.
It's unbelievable.
I don't think I would have a problem with it if everyone in our district was living the same way as this right here. Like
right.
if this was the 43rd district, I'd be very happy with the job that she's doing. But that's not the case. You can't sit on the street in the 43rd district like this in every single area. It's only certain areas that you can't sit on the streets.
Joe, she is one of the most influential people on Capitol Hill. She has, outside of being, what she was briefly a telephone operator, and then she worked in a clothing factory for a while, and then she went to work in government jobs. She doesn't have any real world accomplishments, yet she controls huge amounts of money in DC. Why has she not taken that influence and actually made a difference in her district? I mean, that's what people are supposed to do. They're supposed to go to Congress and get things for their district. And I know that district. I attend church down there pretty regularly in that district. I know the district. These are great people. I mean, these are amazing people who have been just violated by their elected officials.
Absolutely. But let me ask you this question. If I can convince you to vote for me without having to do absolutely nothing for you, by just saying nobody likes you, everybody hates you, nothing good is for you, and I'm gonna fight to get it. If I can keep getting elected with that same message, what is gonna make me actually work if I don't really have to? Look, she has 3 bills that were passed, and she only wrote 1, 2 of them are co-authored.
Now she's been in 30 years, and she's only had 3 bills that were passed, and one of them was the only one she authored herself.
Exactly.
How do you be there 30 years in a district that's hurting so badly, control all that money, and not bring any of it back home to the district?
Like I said, we're gonna have to knock on that door and find out, because we've never had a real person actually use common sense and logic and a tactical approach to let people know that you don't have to settle for this anymore. And I don't like people who run for office based on the fact that, hate this person, hate this person, hate this person. But it's like, okay, so we can hate this person, but we know what they expect from Maxine Waters. Absolutely nothing. She's not going to come to the district. She's not going to help us. But what can we expect from you? You're just as angry as her. So I think that it's time to start having quality candidates who actually want to do something, who are actually doing things for the community right now to run for office and get rid of people like her.
How does Maxine Waters defend the condition of her district? Because the district is in shambles. It was in shambles 30 years ago, and it's way worse off now. We've been through 2 economic booms, and the district is way worse off than it was 30 years ago. How does a person in Congress defend that?
She blames the Republican Party.
But this is not a Republican or Democrat thing. You're not going out honking your horn as a big Republican. You're going out as somebody who loves the people in the district you grew up in.
Yeah,
how does she defend it?
That's what it is, though. And if you try to challenge her on anything, she say, it's because I'm black. Y'all just doing this to me because I'm black and I'm a woman, and people feel sympathy towards that, which is utterly ridiculous. So and it's been going on and on and on for so long, and people start to believe that, the Republicans are attacking Auntie Maxine because she's a black woman.
One thing I find about that district down there, and again, I love going to Angela's church down there, love Pastor Blake, and I love that whole area. One thing I find about that is that, there are people down there with such amazing potential, and she's keeping her thumb on them because she knows if her thumb is on them, they're going to feel like she's the only answer. And these are people that currently love Jay-Z and Beyonce, and like you and I, we see people down there that could be Jay-Z and Beyonce, raise them up. That's part of your job as a congressperson, is to raise those people in your district up.
You would think.
Yeah. She's been in government all of her adult life. Outside of that, are there any accomplishments that she's had, like real world accomplishments?
She's made her whole family rich off the position that she's had in government. She's purchased a very nice home
But by the way, a congressperson already makes a lot of money. They make $175,000 a year,
Yep.
and their benefits are 2 or 3-fold what the benefits are for working guys like us in the private sector. But even off $175,000 a year, how do you get a $5 million mansion and influence all that money going to your husband and to your family?
You got to stay in there 30 years.
Now, what's the story with her husband? The guy's name is Sid Williams. So is her name Maxine Waters or Maxine Williams?
She is Mrs. Maxine Waters, Mrs. MS. And her husband is Sid Williams, and her first husband name was Ed Waters, but you can't find anything on him. And she's acting as if she isn't married. You never see Sid with her anywhere. No one really even knows who he is, like a mystery guy, And every time someone brings it up, like I know Sid's been under investigation like 13 times, federal investigation, and all she hollers is, "Oh, it's due process. Y'all violating due process." Like, well, how when he's stealing from the American government, you're helping him?
That's amazing to me. When you take a look at her voting record, way more times than not, she has voted for things that are well contrary to her district. In other words, things that would not even come close to benefiting her district. How does she defend that?
Nobody ever asks her. And even when you think about when it comes to voting, right? Everybody always talks about she gets 70% of the vote, 80% of the vote, but we only have a 26% voter turnout. So it's not 70 or 80% of the vote. She's actually only getting 15 to 16% of the vote. We have 756,000 people that live in the district, 400,000 registered voters, and 160, 170,000 voter turnout, and she wins with 100,000 votes. That's not a lot of votes.
So is her idea, I'm assuming like a lot of these politicians, keep them in the dark so they don't get out and vote?
Pretty much.
And so they don't really know, what's going on?
I mean, they're trying to do it now, even with this mail-in ballot, because they know they can rip off elections with this mail-in ballot thing.
Let's talk about this for a second. Maxine Waters lives outside her district in this $5 million house. Her district is one of the poorest and literally worst districts in the country. And she gets over 95% of her campaign contributions come from outside of her districts, and 60% of them come from big businesses and huge PACs. Now, how are you compelled to really represent your district when 95% of the money, over 95% of the money, is coming from outside? You have to serve those people.
Exactly.
You're calling your duties to those people, to serve the money. How can she serve her district?
She doesn't, and she proves it. The people who give her money, the insurance companies, and some of the banks, give her a lot of money, but the people don't donate anything to her. And that tells us that, they don't want her in the district, but because she has the insurance companies and some of the banks in her back pocket, she's able to maintain that seat.
It's amazing to me that, this woman is claiming to represent her district when she gets 95% of the money outside of the district, and she constantly votes to the contrary of the good of her district.
Yeah.
That is just absolutely shocking to me. Who are some of the people who give her big bucks?
Nationwide, USAA, Allstate. This is mainly insurance companies. I looked at her FEC files, and it's mainly insurance companies. So that's where she gets her money from. Hardly any money from the people.
So have you ever had any personal interaction with Maxine Waters?
Maxine Waters avoids me like the plague.
Really?
I would have said coronavirus, but they think everybody can catch it. But seen her one time at one of the high schools. She was doing the event for a veteran, and I was there, and she was walking, shaking all the veterans' hands, and right before she got to me, she looked at me, turned around and walked the opposite direction. So other than that, I don't have too many interactions with Maxine Waters. She stays out of my way when I'm in a district. She's never in the district anyway.
You've challenged her to debates. She doesn't even respond. I mean, here's somebody, she thinks an awful lot of herself. If she has nothing to hide, why will she not debate?
I mean, if people found out she lives in a $5 million mansion while they're struggling, they get mad. I got a phone call from someone who runs a few neighborhood councils in South LA, and they told me, we love you. We're sick of, Maxine Waters and all the promises she make and doesn't deliver. And they go, how can she have so much? Promises us everything, and we don't ever get anything.
Do you think the fact that she won't debate you is disrespectful, or you think she's just like literally trying to keep all the stuff behind the curtains?
I'll use the same thing I said when you asked me how come she doesn't live in the district. I wouldn't debate me if I was her either. I don't have anything nice to say, and I don't have a problem with dragging her through a debate.
Yeah. Why does she take her voters for granted?
Because she doesn't have to work for them. She can say what she wants to, appeal to their emotions, make them hate everybody, and still get elected without doing absolutely nothing. She's brainwashed people in the district that think that the culture that they live in is normal, and it's not. Gang violence isn't normal. Gun violence isn't normal. Not having quality education isn't normal. Not having quality jobs isn't normal. Nothing of what you see in South Central Los Angeles is normal. They make videos about, movies about how bad South Central LA is. That's how terrible it is, and people glamorize it. The conditions in South LA is nothing glamorized.
Yeah. And again, this is not a Republican, Democrat thing, black, white thing, Mexican thing, it's none of that. And what are going to be some of the first moves you make when you're elected?
First things that I will do is we're going to bring quality jobs back, right? And then we're going to get economic development back in that district because it's long overdue. And
by the way, there's a lot of money that's been available for this for years and years, and she doesn't bring it back. You've been all about bringing it back since day one. Why didn't she even make an attempt at it? There's billions of dollars available just for that district.
Because she hadn't figured out a way to take all that money and shovel it back into her own pockets. So until she figures that out, she's not going to give anything to our city.
So Joe, early on, what kind of got you into this thing is you got out of the military, you went to Maxine Waters' office. She wouldn't even acknowledge you. Again, a great career in the military. She wouldn't acknowledge you. You needed help. What do you think it's like? You're a military guy. What about the regular person down in the district? What are the odds that they could even get a hold of her or even get a phone call returned? You couldn't.
I don't even think anybody calls her office, to be honest with you, unless they're doing like a pay-for-play favor or something like that. That seems to be the norm here, and especially in South LA. But I can tell you from a veteran's point of view, when you have a leader and you need something, you expect that leader to answer that phone call. You expect them to be there for you, because that's what leaders do. When you look at the homeless population across Southern California, the majority of the homeless people are veterans with mental illness, drug addictions, alcohol addictions. A lot of them suffer from PTSD. And these are the people that need help. So if you're a leader and you're supposed to be leading these people, why aren't you helping them?
Right, especially when she's not like a freshman congressperson. She's been in there 15 terms, 30 years, and she has more money at her disposal than any other member of Congress. And she's got one of the poorest districts and the worst run districts in the country. She should make that, it should be, the street should be paved with gold down there.
They should. She's been there long enough.
Yeah. Why do the people keep electing her? They keep putting her in. They put her in 15 terms, and why do they keep electing her?
Well, we don't have a huge voter turnout, but the people who do vote for her are the older black people who think that Maxine Waters is doing a fantastic job by preaching the same hate that they've used to hearing for the last 30 years.
But she's built her entire career on hate. She's never gotten anything done down there. And I'm not just saying that rhetorically. She's literally not gotten anything done, and she has access to billions of dollars for that district.
She does. And she's just a selfish, mean woman.
Really amazing. So Joe, election's coming up soon. I wish you the best, man. You got to take Maxine Waters and actually give her an excuse not ever have to go to the district anyway.
Absolutely.
And she can stay up here in her $5 million mansion.
Yeah, because she doesn't want to go there anyway. You know what? It's absolutely time for her to retire.
Yep.
She's probably about 20 years overdue for retirement. She needs to go away, enjoy her family, enjoy everything that she's gained by being in office. That's what she needs to do.
Joe Collins. Joe, good having you with us, buddy.
Thank you, I appreciate
it. You got it, my pleasure. This has been live from the MaxiPad. Maxine Waters, great big $5 million mansion, not even in her district. We'll see you here next week, right here, the same place, on Lucerne Street in beautiful Hancock Park. If you agree that it's time to send Maxine Waters packing, hit the like button and share this video with every single one of your friends.